School starts tomorrow.
Okay, I will call the special meeting for the Everman City Council to order. It is Tuesday, August 9th, 2022, and it is 6:30. We'll drop down to citizens' comments. This we haven't done.
Could I say something, please?
Is there any reference to this,
To what?
to what we're talking about? Or,
A citizen comment.
sure, go ahead.
I got a call from Constable Sandra Lee for Tarrant County Precinct 7. And she had to go to the emergency and Everman picked her up. She's in Kennedale.
Mhm.
And she just wanted to commend Everman's emergency services for that. And she wanted to get their names so that she could, show her appreciation for
That's
that.
nice.
It was last night.
We can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so next item's discussion items. Item A, we'll open the public hearing for citizens' comments on the proposed property tax rate for 2022, 2023.
Time?
Oh, yeah, it is 6:31. So you got anything you want to say, Craig, or?
I'm gonna let Susan talk about the tax rate.
Well, we have discussed this several times, so I will just officially, on the record, announce the rate of $1.119676 as the property tax rate that we are proposing. And the no new revenue tax rate of 0.985572. And the no new revenue M&O rate of 0.844683. And the debt rate of 0.274993. So with that, it's a reduction of 3 cents on the property tax rate. However, with that, it will increase the amount of money that we bring in as property tax. However, the rate is being reduced. That's all I
Okay.
have to mention.
So I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Question or something. This piece of paper that the mayor was given to help us properly state our movement, our motion.
Yes,
This says adopt a tax rate of 1.1196976, which is
96.
effectively a 119676,
That's correct.
which is effectively a 13.61% increase. And you just said it
In-
wasn't going up.
Well, that's correct. That the amount of money we are bringing in, but that is due to a variety of things such as the property value of the homes. So it's not the actual tax rate is going down.
The individual paying the taxes will not be paying a 13% increase. The 13% increase is the overall
That we
revenue
are
that we
bringing
will
in.
see,
as-
revenue increase. that we
Oh,
will
okay,
see as
okay,
a
okay.
result.
Sorry.
Okay, but this says 13.61% increase in the tax rate.
Yes, because that's how much more revenue we're gonna be bringing in is 13%. That 13%.
Okay, y'all forgive me, this is not equating.
Right.
If the tax rate is going down,
Correct.
and how can I say it's a 13.61 increase?
Because you have to consider that there's new development and increased values that were not calculated last year.
No,
so-
I get all that. I
Right.
get, that's how much
That-
money we're getting in. But on one hand, you're saying the tax rate is decreasing,
Mhm.
1.1 blah, blah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my statement is gonna be an increase in 13.61
Yes,
of the tax rate. That does not make sense. What am I not seeing? There's got to be something I'm not seeing.
I'm trying to figure out how best to explain it so you would understand. So the tax rate, the individual tax rate per person is dropping.
Right,
gonna see the-
1.1 blah, blah.
Right. They're gonna
Okay.
see an
Yes.
average reduction, I think, based off the average homestead value of like $32 a year reduction, right? The overall tax rate for the city that calculates the revenue that we're gonna see from property tax, that tax rate is going to increase 13%, meaning the revenue is gonna increase approximately 13% for the city overall because
Right,
of the
the
development.
revenue is going to increase
Yes.
13.61.
Yes.
But this says,
Increased here too.
yes, this says a 13.61% increase in the tax rate. So as a citizen, I'm sitting here looking at this going, this is double talk to me. You're telling me my taxes are going
You
down,
wanna reword
but
that
taxes
motion?
are going up 13.61%.
What is- Should
No,
it
I'm just
say
going with the
revenue
statement.
only and
Yeah,
not
no.
tax
But
rate?
even
So you
this,
should have decreased and increased, decreased. Increased.
Right. But I can't say this in good conscience.
I know.
well, this says
I
increase in
understand
both
what you're
spots.
saying. And
So can it just say something like
Yes.
revenue instead of like the tax rate increase?
I'm gonna get that answer
he's
for
gonna
you.
get
and we will-
illegal
we will-
advice
we'll get
because
legal
Okay.
advice.
that verbiage came directly off of the tax software. So
Well, then it says, and the mayor said this, I move that the property tax rate be increased.
Yeah, on this grade.
Okay, as a citizen, I'm going,
So
how
what
can
is
you
it, down or
decrease
up?
my property tax, but
oh,
everything
no, I
else is-
understand. I reread that many times,
Okay.
but I took it straight off of the, the tax software.
It doesn't make sense.
Thank you, thank you. I looked at that and went, it's got increased twice in that
This
same
should have
sentence.
more verbiage to explain this, but that shouldn't be increased.
Okay.
Correct.
It
I
should
move
just
it-
say revenue and not get confused with tax rate.
I move that the property
People will get
tax,
confused by
Right.
it.
well, how about I move that the property tax rate
Can you?
be of
you
one
get
point
that
one
now?
be adopted instead of
Or-
saying the
actually, I
word
think
increase there.
'Cause I've got my work email. here. You don't have your work
Because
email.
then I have a tax on average homestead, 1.260.
Is she gonna join us?
Mayor, yes, the city attorney's gonna jump on the meeting here shortly, so we can get that legal clarification.
I'm so sorry. I just,
No,
this is,
no, that's good. No, I, like you, I reread that several times, but I took it directly off of there.
I mean,
because
in
it said
good
that this
conscience, I
statement,
can't,
this statement must be read. And so
well, I either can't make the motion or I'm gonna vote no on it because it says
No,
we're
I-
increasing. And we don't have time to be voting no on this thing.
no. And we are
This would be
definitely, and we are
bad.
definitely not increasing it. So
Exactly, we're
just for the
not.
record.
How about 13.161% increase
In the
in the revenue instead of the tax rate? Does
We
that,
have to send the minutes and everything in, so I want to make sure that wording is. precise
absolutely,
with
oh,
legal.
yes.
So, Mayor, I'm gonna make the recommendation that we just,
Mm-hmm.
We can
not
close the
necessarily
public
close
hearing.
this public hearing. But let's go ahead and, well,
Yeah.
we can reopen the public hearing again. Let's close this public hearing. Let's move to the budget. We can
Well-
discuss the budget while we're waiting on the attorney to jump on. We can move into the,
But
So-
we can't approve the budget until this is approved.
well, I think the general consensus from council is that they're willing to approve the tax rate of 1.11, correct? I mean, that's not the question at hand. It's
No,
the,
it's not.
it's
Just
the
the
wording
wording.
of the motion.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then I think we can
Two
still,
specific words.
based off that consensus, that we know that council's generally going to accept that tax rate, then I think we move into the public hearing on the budget. We just can't adopt any, or we have to adopt those ordinances in that order. The tax rate.
We just bring up that when we make the
Yes.
motion. We don't normally bring up the others.
Right. Judy's right. Normally, we just say, I move to adopt
Right.
the,
Yes.
but so
Ordinance
somebody
so-and-so.
in TAD or somewhere said we have to add this, which is effectively a blank percent.
It was on the
Increase.
tax software.
Okay, well, that doesn't mean they're right.
Okay, so
Nope.
let's close the public hearing on the property tax rate and let's open the public hearing to your citizens' comments on the proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget.
What time?
And the time is 6:39.
You want me to talk about that?
I'm good. I'm not gonna say a word.
All right.
Yeah.
So every
Highlights you have.
council member should have a completed budget book in front of you. Susan, as usual, did a beautiful job of compiling this book. As you'll see with the previous couple of years that we've had, she's included a lot of supplemental information in here to include history about the city and philosophy, including some of our budgeting philosophy and budgeting policies and policies of the city. couple things that I wanted to highlight in here are really first and foremost is the letter from me to you, which is going to be found on, I believe, page 6. If you'll turn to page 6. This is the budget letter from the city manager to the city council, pretty much highlighting the issues at hand. A couple things that I want to highlight from within is that this budget primarily does not focus on capital projects like we have been the last 2 budgets. We took a reprieve from focusing on capital budgets this year to put more of a heavy focus on personnel to provide that 11.5% cost of living increase in here. We are able to do that through a couple of different methods. One, we have alternative funding resources available through ARPA and other things to address capital needs that have arisen. And we still currently have many ongoing already funded projects that have not yet been complete. So this would not be a good stage to add additional projects to within this next coming year. We need to still work to get some of these projects off of our plate to make sure that we're maintaining a manageable load. Performance overall has been very good. We've continued to see improvement on our general fund position, both within operating and reserves. We've continued to see improvement in the water reserve funds as well. Our financial position continues to improve even with the investments that the city has made over the last couple of years, which have been significant investments. Through a lot of the efforts that we've implemented, we've been able to make a success over the last few budgets. So I'm confident in this budget coming up for this next year. This is a very conservative budget. We like to budget conservatively because we feel that that's been our lead to success over the last 2 budgets, is making sure that we are budgeting conservatively. Other than that, there have been no changes to this budget since our last meeting. We will address any questions or discuss any concerns that council may have.
I'd like to comment on page 42. This is the first time I've actually seen this kind of chart. I like it. In one little chart, it shows us exactly which department, what have you, is
Falls under
funded by which pot of money. I like this a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very clearly
Yeah.
stated.
Mhm.
Very helpful.
Yes. Again, I've only briefly gone through it because I was having conniptions on something else. But nice job on the book. Yes. Next year, we get to approve the picture you put in there.
I
like
know, I
the
saw it.
picture.
Like, oh.
Okay, we got to say something.
Any comments on that? We'll see. If there's none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. The time is 6:43. We will reopen the public hearing on the proposed property tax rate for 2022-2023 at 6:43. So
Hey, Alan.
Hello, everybody.
Patty.
All right, so we've got a question that was posed. There is not, the council is in general consensus to adopt the tax rate of 1.19676 as it's written on the sample motion that was provided through the tax software. But the concern is within that sample motion, and Ms. Mackey, do you mind reading that sample motion and expressing your concern to the attorney's clear?
The sample motion says, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.119676, which is effectively a 13.61% increase in the tax rate.
The problem there, Alan, is it's actually a 3-cent reduction in the tax rate. That 13% is referencing the overall revenue
Revenue.
increase that the city will see. So we understand why it's showing 13%, but the problem is it says a 13% increase in the tax rate, and the council is not comfortable making that motion as it's worded there. as it tends to lead somebody to believe that it's an increase in the individual tax rate, not the overall tax revenue. So we wanted to find out, just to make sure that we're legal, how can we change this motion to make sure that we are proceeding correctly and legally?
Okay, well, I think the issue has to do with the rollback rate. And the rollback rate is that amount you can raise things, your budget to, without triggering an election that is approval by the citizens. So that's why it's a little awkward the way that's worded. Everybody kind of has the same issues with that. But when it's a calculation that's performed that determines how much you can raise a budget, and as long as you don't raise it above that amount, then you do not have to go to the voters for approval.
Okay, question. In this atmosphere of transparency, this says the word increase twice in it. And as a citizen, tax-paying citizen in this city, I'm being told that my taxes are going down. But this motion is saying that taxes are going up twice.
Okay, so I think, let me see if I understand what Alan's saying. If, do you have the tax calculation sheet in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, so do you see we're on page 3, on line 26?
Wait a minute, let me put my
That's okay.
telescope eyes on. Line 26.
Line 26, yep. The 2022, the NNR stands for no new revenue tax rate, or the rollback rate. They changed the way it's worded.
Right.
That's what the rollback rate is that the attorney's referring to. The rollback rate is 0.985572. What that means is that if you wanted to keep the exact same revenue that the city has right now, you would have to adopt that particular tax rate of 0.985572. We're not proposing that we adopt that tax rate. We're proposing that we adopt a 1.119676 tax rate, which is effectively a 13% increase over that rollback rate, is what the attorney is saying. Now, it's still a 3-cent decrease from the previous tax rate, but it's a 13% increase from the no new revenue tax rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So effectively, it is a tax rate increase,
Okay.
but the individual taxpayer will see a decrease.
And the
in what they pay.
individual taxpayer is going to hear me say, we're raising the taxes. That's what they're going to hear. They don't understand NNR, rollback, and all that gobbledygook.
Oh, ma'am, I barely understand it. I completely agree with you. I
And
understand.
I get it. I get the NNR, the rollback, gobbledygook. This is ridiculous. In light of being a tax-paying citizen, shouldn't we put this so that they can understand what it says?
Can we say something where the rollback is and where that 13% is increased and that rollback to the 1.1996 that we're keeping, that included the decrease?
I mean, I don't mean to
I
belabor
think
this.
we could perform a good job of trying to educate the public and putting out information as to what that means. And maybe we put out a good pub ed of some sort that shows that it's a 3-cent reduction. This is the average savings on this average home per year, to show that the council is trying to save the taxpayers' dollars. That's
Okay.
that's what you're moving, regardless of how the motion itself is worded. I think we may just have to do some sort of public education on this is
Yes.
what that actually means
I'll go
and
for
why
that.
why it's going that way.
Okay,
that
I'll
makes
go for
sense.
that. Because just based on this statement, the hair is raising up on the back of my neck going, this is double talk. This is Washington DC gobbledygook.
That's the state of Texas for you.
No, that's the state of Texas gobbledygook. Oh,
right.
my God.
Because they thought you needed to be clear about what you're doing. So now when you follow their suggested language, it's difficult to understand.
It's clear, all right, if you're a politician, and we are politicians, but we're not that ilk of a politician.
Right.
Everman.
Okay, yes, a dinky little town. Nobody's going to understand that.
But yes, this is once again an example of the Texas legislature deciding that all local government needs help to explain to the people what it is they're doing, and it just confuses everything.
I'm sorry, we need to use English, and this is not any kind of understandable words. Okay, I've had my say.
Talk to the
So-
legislator about that.
Oh, all right. So as long as we can put out something to the public somewhere that everybody can have access to it and they understand it looks weird, but it's really going down. That's the important part.
Okay, so we will push this out. We'll put together a public campaign. We'll push it out through all the social media outlets. We'll push it out through the water bill as
Yes.
well.
Mhm.
Are there any other alternatives council would like us to push that out? So make sure to try to.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
People are on our social media and the water
Okay.
bill. I'm
Yes.
happy with that.
Yes.
Anybody else?
And all of this tax information is found on the finance website as well.
Yes, but only 7 people will understand
I,
this.
I agree. I'm just letting you know that I have
I was counting other cities.
a graph that shows how much is being saved. You know.
Okay, okay.
All right,
I
so-
thank you.
Yes.
Forgive me for being
No,
whatever it is I am.
Ma'am, you're just doing your job.
I'm
You're fine.
having a heart attack.
You're doing your job. You're fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this thing exactly like it's worded.
If,
Oh.
and if,
Well, we got.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
yeah, and keep in mind, so when the minutes are kept, anything that's discussed during the public hearing is going to be worded almost, well, it's going to be kept in the minutes. When you
Cool.
make that motion, any discussion that's part of that motion typically is not kept within the minutes. So if you want something to be specifically on the record in the minutes, then now would be the time to make sure that you indicate
You got
to
it.
Mindy that you want that in the minutes.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
All right, so we're still in the public hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm heard out.
Anything or? All right, so that being said, we will close the public hearing on the proposed property tax rate for 2022-23. Time is 6:51. Next item, consideration possible action. Item A, approve ordinance number 783, an ordinance fixing and levying municipal ad valorem taxes for the city of Everman, Texas upon all taxable property for the tax year of 2022, directing the assessment and collection thereof, providing a severability clause and an effective date clause.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.119676, which is effectively a 13.61% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes. So because this is worded so wonky, and I know that our citizens are going to be very happy that their taxes are going down, but this motion is worded in a weird manner and it sounds like it's going up. Could we please utilize the city's social media and the water bill, et cetera, to educate our folks that our taxes are actually going down?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody else, please. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're
I
good.
don't want to be pushy, but
Any other comments?
No.
Would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next item, item B, approve ordinance number 784, an ordinance adopting a budget and appropriating resources for the budget year beginning October 1st, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023, approving budget figures for fiscal year 2023, providing for the filing of the budget as required by state law, providing that the ordinance shall be cumulative of all ordinances, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion to approve ordinance 784 as read.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Poll the council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
No. No.
place 4,
Yeah, aye. Yes.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Executive session, we have none. City managers report.
The only thing I want to highlight is, because I know this has been an ongoing issue, is the proposed development within the city of Fort Worth, manufactured housing. At the last minute, the developer requested a meeting with us, so we hosted them this morning at 10 a.m. Commissioner Brooks's office sent Mr. Roger Miles as a representative for Commissioner Brooks to be present at that meeting. We shared our concerns with them, and they were actually pretty receptive to the concerns that we had and understood the concerns that we had, but were not able at the time to provide any potential resolutions to that. They did express that they are still pursuing the zoning commission for approval tomorrow. That hearing is tomorrow. I did draft a letter to the zoning commission, and I sent that this afternoon following our meeting with them. Still standing in opposition of that proposed zoning change, and I explained the reasons why in that letter, and I made sure to distribute a copy of that letter to all of you, so you have that to share with anybody, because I know there's a lot of citizens that are concerned about this. I will not be able to attend the hearing tomorrow. However, even if the Fort Worth Zoning Commission approves or approves a recommendation, it still must go before the Fort Worth City Council before that zoning actually takes effect. If the zoning commission approves a recommendation, then I will make plans to attend that city council meeting as well. They did share, they were kind enough to bring a copy of their plans here, and I think that was being passed around. We only got one copy. I think it's an identical copy of what was emailed out as well. So you may have a copy of that in your email, but feel free to take a look at their concept photos. Couple pieces of data I'd like to share that we got from the meeting. Obviously, there's two phases. The first phase is still in design and engineering phase, so we have no idea on the timeline of when that's going to take place. But it is going to include 440 homes on 90 acres. The front 3.5 acres along Forest Hill Drive is going to consist of commercial. They are not exactly sure of what commercial is going to go in there yet, but they are looking at potentially bringing in some sort of health facility like a Baylor Scott and White little urgent care or something along those lines there. Again, they don't have anything set in stone. That's just kind of what they're looking at. That's already the approved part of the zoning change with the city of Fort Worth. The phase two, the phase that they're applying for, is going to consist of 298 homes. So that creates a total of 738 homes altogether between the two phases on roughly 165 acres total. 20 acres in the phase two are not even considered usable because it's directly within the floodplain. It's right off the creek that flows right through the middle of the property. We did express to them that our concern was not necessarily that there's concern about this development coming in and pushing more water off. We know that there's codes and standards that they have to comply with to prevent impacting a floodway. But the concern with flooding is that we have been working with the cities of Fort Worth, and Tarrant County, and COG at identifying potential land uses around us that could be utilized to draw the water away. That's what we need to do. We need to pause development and draw water away. And that's not our stance. That was COG's stance. COG and the team from Michael Morris is actually the ones that brought that to our attention of we need to slow down development and identify land uses to draw that water away. So that's a unified front that I believe we're all standing on. The commissioner's office expressed their support and backing for the city of Everman on this issue, and are behind us on it as well. So I think the meeting overall it went well. We did learn some information. They were receptive to it, but they're not changing their stance, and unfortunately, we're not changing our stance either. We did express that if they were to withdraw their application for a zoning change to go from agriculture to manufactured housing and to go a planned development route, if they were to apply for a planned development route, that we would be amicable to come to the table and discuss how we could work that out. The difference is when you rezone something as manufactured housing, there's no site plan that goes with that rezoning. So there's no standards that they can be held to. Mm-hmm. So once that property gets rezoned to manufactured housing, if this particular project falls through, there's nothing there that would prevent another developer coming in and building whatever they wanted to that complied with those codes. when you do a plan development, they have to submit a site plan and design and engineering with that zoning change, which means that that developer will be held to those standards. Nobody else can come in if that project falls through and develop whatever they want to in that zoning. So there's a lot of benefit to plan development. We would be amicable to come to the table and at least discuss it with them. If they were to go that route, they do not want to go that route because they know that that's going to delay the project by probably a year, since it's going to require them to go back to the table. But all in all, they're still pushing forward with it. We're still pushing our opposition. Just wanted to provide you with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, mayor's report, I'll kind of piggyback off that. Commissioner Brooks' office already said that, that they're going to back us on this, what direction we're going in. Commissioner Brooks is going to follow suit. So he basically said in the meeting the other day that if it's a concern to the citizens of Everman or the mayor or council, that it's a concern to him. And he's going to back us. So, and went to the EISD luncheon today, and Councilman Nettles was there from Fort Worth. So I was able to talk to him for a few minutes.
So good.
And he did ask me what our concerns and thoughts were about it. I told him, I said, here's the deal. We don't have a problem with the development itself, but we do have problem with the flooding and the traffic.
Yeah.
And so hopefully he'll take that to heart and consider that if it does make it to council, that what our concerns are. So that's all I have. So with that being said, the time is 7:01 and we are adjourned.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Alan.
Alan.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good evening.